Hey everybody, and welcome to another segment of astrologyanswers.com's weekly forecast. My name is Terence. The week begins on Monday, June the 2nd, 2025, with the moon that sets the public tone and reactions in work-oriented, sensible, practical Virgo. One of the best overall signs to start a new work week, to be able to accomplish all your many tasks. But the sun's in Gemini, and Gemini and Virgo are at a square or at cross purposes with each other. But this emotional moon will be in contention or conflict with more ego-oriented sun by evening Pacific time. So for an hour or two, this can trigger more being uncomfortable, socializing, communicating with others. It can be favorable because the sun is putting a spotlight on the moon, and the moon can represent your habits, your unconscious habits that can be brought more up to light, that might make you more uncomfortable when you recognize these uncomfortable habits, but it's the first step to breaking those and healing those habits. Tuesday, the moon continues in analytical Virgo, pragmatic Virgo, but squaring or in tension with communication or rational Mercury, mid-morning Pacific time, lasting only an hour or two. But communications, that's the Mercury, could be very much muddled with your feelings or biases. Think of the moon as subjective, and it's in conflict or tension with Mercury, which is rational. So either you are moving back and forth from being rational or irrational, or you're in a meeting or an important conversation, even a personal one, where one party could be irrational and the other one's more rational, but it only lasts an hour or two, mid-morning Pacific time. Wednesday, the moon continuing in logical, analytical Virgo, and will be in harmony with innovative, progressive Uranus between 4 and 6 a.m. Pacific time, at which point the moon in Virgo will go void of course. Remember, the moon will no longer be making aspects to other planets until it changes signs, so the energy is flat and unproductive, and always advised not to be making important decisions or starting important new events. When it's void of course, from 4:13 a.m. until 6:40 a.m., at which point the moon goes into Libra. Libra is more sociable, harmonious, cooperative, but as peacekeeping and seeking win-win resolutions, the mediator for the general public with the moon in Libra, by mid-morning, it's Pacific time, it's going to be in opposition or confrontation to restricted Saturn in Aries, and with nebulous avoiding denial Neptune in Aries, opposite the emotional moon. So that could be a very difficult time with your own reactions and feelings, but certainly interacting with others. But it only lasts an hour or two. And for the rest of the day, Venus, the planet that rules Libra, Venus, that planet of harmony, peace, creativity, romance, will be in a sextile, positive opportunities to expansive, optimistic Jupiter. That Venus-Jupiter can be very sociable, very friendly. However, you have to be careful of overindulging with spending too much money, eating too much rich foods. On Thursday, the moon, continuing in sociable Libra, will be in harmony with the sun in witty, conversational Gemini, mid-afternoon Pacific time. This is when when it comes to socializing, interacting with others, the efforts, it all seems more effortless. Everything seems to be more in the flow. And here's decision-making, communication, conversational Mercury, especially being in Gemini, will be sextilely in harmony with assertive, ambitious Mars. Mercury-Mars, you can think of it as the mind, Mercury, is being really heated up and stimulated, but in very positive ways because of the sextile. Great for debating, great for any types of negotiations. On Friday, the moon, continuing in harmonious diplomatic Libra, will be in harmony with that assertive Mars, 7, 8 a.m. Pacific time. Then it's trining the best flow of energy to communication Mercury from 10 a.m. up to 12 noon p.m. Pacific time. Moon to Mercury, you're able to express your thoughts, your feelings more comfortably, more effortlessly. It's great for speaking engagements. It's conducting meetings, for studying, for writing. And then the moon in Libra, an air sign, will be in harmony with expansive, optimistic Jupiter in Gemini, an air sign, around 6, 7 p.m. Pacific time. Now, in the evening, the moon will leave more sociable Libra and go into more introspective, private, hidden Scorpio at 7:24 p.m. Pacific time. When the moon was in Libra, it's much more friendly or sociable. When the moon goes into Scorpio, there's more of the tendency for being more profound conversations, to maybe more moodiness, more emotional intensity. As we go into Saturday, as the moon continues in Scorpio, I call it that all or nothing, passionate Scorpio, but the sun's in Gemini. Now, the sun's in Gemini all month, but there's this whole background of a lot of restlessness, learning, a lot of mental stimulation, a lot of networking, a lot of talking and connecting with others. Those are all the positive sides that's being enhanced during the month when the sun's in Gemini. But here's the emotional moon in Scorpio, and Scorpio wants to be more private, more left alone, dealing more with secrets, more brooding, more moody. But then here's the sun in Gemini that wants to be more playful, more witty, more talkative. So you're going to flip. You'll be dealing with people who are moody and you just want to be more playful, or you won't be in a good mood, or this can be with the sun in Gemini. It can change on a dime, and you can go from a bad mood to a good mood to a bad mood to a good mood throughout the day. On Sunday, the moon in emotional Scorpio continues, but discerning communication Mercury in Gemini, making Mercury very witty and quick, is going to be aligning with expansive Jupiter in Gemini. Mentally, most of us will be feeling very optimistic. This is very favorable for travel, making travel plans, for studying, for writing, for expressing yourself with that Mercury Jupiter. And Mercury, that's been in Gemini for the last several weeks, is going to go into emotional reflective Cancer at 3:59 p.m. Pacific time for the next several weeks. Mercury in Cancer can be very reflective, much more emotional, but you tend to be more compassionate, more sensitive to others. Where in Gemini, when the Mercury is in Gemini, it's all very mental, in your head, not really being so much more in your heart. I want to thank you for tuning in. I hope to see you next week with my next segment. Until then, be safe and well.